Imagine having a bank account so heavy that the British Sunday Times has to put you on their rich list, while back home, people are still arguing if your wealth is even real. We're talking about a level of money that doesn't just buy mansions, it buys silence, influence, and maybe even a little bit of history. And speaking of money, we're doing a giveaway for a $500 Amazon gift card when we hit 5,000 subscribers. Make sure to smash that subscribe button and comment below so you can join the raffle. But in the heart of Africa, who actually holds the keys to the kingdom? Is it the one with the political immunity or the one with the international wire transfers? Grab your drink, get comfortable, and let's count down the top 10 richest and most powerful women in Zimbabwe who are secretly running the show. 9. Valerie Moran. Here's a news flash for you. One of the wealthiest black women connected to Zimbabwe isn't even living there. She's in London, and she has the receipts to prove it. Her name is Valerie Moran. Valerie is the ultimate Zimbabwean dream, which is ironically leaving Zimbabwe and conquering the world. Born in Zim, she moved to the UK and became a tech titan. She co-founded Prepaid Financial Services, PFS, at her kitchen table. It wasn't glamorous, it was hard work. But she built it into a fintech giant. In 2019, she and her husband sold the company to EML Payments in a deal worth roughly 327 million euros. That's over $350 million. This sale catapulted her onto the Sunday Times rich list, making her the first black female to ever crack that exclusive club in the UK. Why does she secretly own the country? Because she represents the diaspora economy. The biggest source of foreign currency in Zimbabwe isn't gold or tobacco, it's remittances. It's people like Valerie sending money back, investing in properties, and keeping the economy afloat from abroad. Valerie sits on a confirmed liquid fortune of hundreds of millions of dollars. She doesn't have to deal with the local politics or the potholes. She won the game. She proved that Zimbabwean talent, when given a fair playing field, can dominate globally. 8. Josephine Takundwa. Now let's pivot from the gram to the grind. Number 9 is Josephine Takundwa, a woman you might not see popping bottles in the club, but you'll definitely see her equipment keeping those clubs powered up. Josephine is the brain behind Earthlink Technologies. In a country where the power grid is about as reliable as a rainy season forecast, Josephine positioned herself as the savior of connectivity. She started in electrical protection, think huge UPS systems and power solutions, and grew that into a tech empire servicing telecoms, mining, and healthcare. Essentially, if the lights stay on in a Zimbabwean hospital during a blackout, Josephine probably had something to do with it. But here is where the secretly owns the country vibe kicks in. Josephine didn't stop at tech. She realized that while tech is the future, food is survival. She launched Sesame for Life, an agribusiness venture that exports sesame seeds. This is genius because it earns foreign currency, the holy grail of Zimbabwean business. By connecting rural farmers to global markets, she controls a massive supply chain. She isn't just selling gadgets, she's feeding the export market. When you control both the digital infrastructure and the agricultural output, you don't need to be loud, you just need to be solvent. 7. Divine Ndlukula. If you think security is a man's world, Divine Ndlukula would like a word, and that word is usually checkmate. Divine is the founder of Securico, and her story is the stuff of legend. In the late 90s, she looked at the security industry in Zimbabwe and saw a bunch of unmotivated guards and terrible service. She decided to fix it, but she didn't have a massive loan from a rich uncle. She famously sold her own truck, an 8-ton truck she was using for another hustle, to fund the startup. That is what we call skin in the game. Today, Securico is a beast. We are talking about a company with reportedly over 3,400 employees. She is one of the largest private employers of women in the country, explicitly hiring women to work in security, a move that revolutionized the industry. She didn't just build a company, she built an army. Divine's wealth comes from the fact that in Zimbabwe, assets need protection. Banks, mines, warehouses, and luxury estates all pay divine to keep their goods safe. She's won practically every award under the sun, including recognition from Forbes Africa. She sits on the land, she protects the cash, and she commands a workforce the size of a small town. That is real power. 6. Vimbai Masiyiwa. We can't talk about Zimbabwean money without mentioning the M word, Masiyiwa. But before we get to the parents, let's talk about the next generation. Number 7 is Vimbai Masiyiwa. It is very easy to be a Nepo baby and just spend daddy's money on designer bags, but Vimbai took a different route. She is the CEO of Batoka Hospitality. She, along with her mother, decided to take on the tourism industry, but not in a let's buy a hotel kind of way. They went for ultra-luxury eco-tourism. Vimbai is building the first black female-owned safari lodge group in sub-Saharan Africa. This is a sector that has been dominated by old white money for a century. For a young, black, Zimbabwean woman to step into that space and say, "I own this view now," is a massive power move. She's leveraging her family's immense global network to bring high-end tourism dollars into Zimbabwe. Her wealth isn't just in the bank, it's in the access. She was named on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list, and she is positioning herself as the face of the new, sophisticated Zimbabwe. While the old guard fights over mines, Vimbai is selling the sunset. 5. Jane Mutasa. Okay, let's get messy. You wanted gossip? You wanted drama? Enter Jane Mutasa. Jane Mutasa is not here to make friends. She is here to secure the bag. She is a veteran businesswoman who has been in the trenches of Zimbabwe's corporate wars for decades. She rose to prominence, founding the Indigenous Business Women's Organization, but she is best known for her battle over Telecel Zimbabwe. For years, Jane has been involved in a high-stakes shareholder dispute over the mobile network Telecel. We are talking about a 40% stake in a major telecom company. There have been allegations of fraud, board suspensions, police investigations, and court battles that have dragged on longer than a bad soap opera. She was accused of airtime fraud, literally stealing airtime, which she vehemently denied and fought in the courts. Jane represents a very specific type of Zimbabwean wealth, the fighting kind. She has faced arrest, she has faced public humiliation, and yet she is still standing, still holding onto her assets, and still terrifying her board members. Her wealth is tied up in real estate and telecoms, two of the most volatile sectors, but her influence comes from her refusal to back down. In a country where businesses get swallowed whole by politics, Jane Mutasa is the bone that gets stuck in the throat. 4. Pindi Nyandoro. Money is great, but the person who controls where the money goes is the one who truly runs the show. Pindi Nyandoro is the ultimate corporate heavy hitter. She isn't an entrepreneur in the "I started this in my garage" sense. She is a banker, but not just any banker. She has been the CEO of Stanbic Bank Zimbabwe and held massive regional roles for Standard Bank Group. Currently, she is the regional director for Norfund. That's the Norwegian investment fund for developing countries. Why does this make her powerful? Because in Southern Africa, capital is scarce. Norfund manages billions of dollars in investments. Pindi is the one looking at the map of Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Mozambique and deciding which projects get funded and which ones starve. She sits on the boards that matter. She knows where the bodies are buried in the financial sector because she probably approved the loans for the shovels. Her wealth is in her salary, stock options, and board fees, sure, but her secret ownership of the country comes from her role as the gatekeeper of capital. If you want to build a mall, a mine, or a solar plant, you eventually have to go through a boardroom where Pindi Nyandoro is sitting at the head of the table. 3. Karen Mutasa. Number 4 is Karen Mutasa, and if you want to know how the social elite in Harare stay looking so good, just ask her. Karen is the mogul behind the Skin Spa Group. She brought international beauty standards to Zimbabwe, creating a sanctuary for the wives of politicians, diplomats, and business tycoons. But don't let the facials fool you. Karen is a shark in a silk blouse. She serves on the board of the Sports and Recreation Commission and has deep ties to the restaurant industry through the Restaurant Operators Association of Zimbabwe. She is everywhere. She connects the lifestyle sector with the policy sector. But her biggest flex is her philanthropy through the Solidarity Trust Zimbabwe. When things fall apart, like during the pandemic or cholera outbreaks, Karen is one of the key figures mobilizing the private sector to fix what the government can't. She raised millions to refurbish hospitals. This gives her a moral authority that many others on this list lack. She owns the social scene, she owns the wellness industry, and she has the phone numbers of every major player in the country. 2. Grace Mugabe. We made it to the top 3, and you knew she had to be here. The former First Lady, the Doctor of Sociology, allegedly, the one, the only, Grace Mugabe. Let's be honest, for about a decade, Grace Mugabe didn't just secretly own the country, she treated it like her personal playground. They called her Gucci Grace for a reason. While the country was printing trillion-dollar notes that couldn't buy a loaf of bread, Grace was dropping $75,000 on a single shopping spree in Paris. She famously faced a lawsuit over a $1.35 million diamond ring. Yes, one ring. Because she refused to accept it after it was delivered. Her wealth is a mix of state assets, commandeered farms, and a real estate portfolio that is staggering. We are talking about the Blue Roof Mansion in Borrowdale, a palace that is rumored to have cost £3 million to build, but is worth infinitely more now. It has a ceiling decorated with blue tiles imported from China, because why not? After her husband, Robert Mugabe, passed away, the official estate was declared at around $10 million. The entire country laughed. Leaked diplomatic cables and investigative reports suggest the family's wealth is likely in the hundreds of millions, if not hitting the billion mark, hidden in overseas accounts, properties in Dubai, Singapore, and Hong Kong. She may have lost her political power in the 2017 coup, but make no mistake, Grace is sitting on a mountain of generational wealth that was squeezed out of the Zimbabwean economy. She is the ultimate symbol of excess in a time of scarcity. 1. Tsitsi Masiyiwa. If Grace Mugabe is the villain of the story, Tsitsi Masiyiwa is the closest thing Zimbabwe has to a royal matriarch. Tsitsi is the wife of Strive Masiyiwa, Zimbabwe's first billionaire. Strive is currently worth around $2.7 billion, according to Forbes, and since they operate as a unit, Tsitsi is effectively managing that pot. But she isn't just the wife of. Tsitsi is the engine behind the Higher Life Foundation. This foundation has paid the school fees for hundreds of thousands of African children, the Capernaum scholars. In a country where the education system collapsed, Tsitsi effectively became the Ministry of Education for the talented and poor. She and her husband also stepped in to pay doctors' salaries when the government couldn't, effectively keeping the healthcare system from total collapse during strikes. Think about the power dynamic there. When the government fails, they look to Tsitsi. She is arguably the most influential woman in the country because she holds the moral high ground and the checkbook to back it up. Through their ownership of EcoNet and EcoCash, the Masiyiwa family controls the digital nervous system of Zimbabwe. Every time someone sends money, buys data, or makes a call, Tsitsi's empire gets a cut. She doesn't need to be in parliament to run the country, she owns the network the country runs on. So, who do you think really holds the power? The one with the blue roof or the one with the British bank account? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the tea on the people who run your world. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.